Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Off the Post. And it is episode number 16. And what a night of talk. We're going to be talking about the Premier League. It's been a very entertaining weekend of football action. And I've still got still repping the football shirt. Unfortunately, the other two aren't. But good evening, Anthony. Welcome to the show, Off the Post.
Did me dirty, SJ. I just got changed for you. Like I was on camera.
Mate. Love it, mate. Love it. Love it. You should get Ryan Fraser on the back of that.
Ryan Fraser, baby. 4th win of the season. Let's go.
Anthony, are you muted or can't?
Am I muted? Or
Oh, yeah, no, I can hear you.
You're very, very quiet.
Yeah, you're quiet, mate. That's all good. That's all good.
This bloke over here in top right corner, my goat. Nothing to do with football, but he's my goat.
Oh, love it. Guys, how are we anyway? How we going?
Yeah, good, mate, good.
Oh, we're a bit frustrated on the right-hand side there, we can see. But let's go straight into it. We'll start off soon, but we'll just give us a little bit of an insight, and without going into too much detail on each team, but just how do you feel that coming into February really close, because obviously a lot of games in January, as we know. I think it was 8 games still to be played in January, which we've obviously got this weekend coming up, which is obviously the 1st of Feb. So that's done and dusted. But 8 games in January. It's been a fun-filled January of football action. How do you think most of the teams have dealt with that?
pretty good. Like obviously your boys didn't get many injuries, which is good.
Which is a plus.
Which is a plus. While our boys, we didn't have a good January whatsoever. We fell off like really badly, and I'm going to be talking about that shit show that I watched on Sunday night.
Okay, all right. Obviously, 2 fans, probably 3 fans, not very happy. What about you, Keeper? How have you felt that most of the teams have done through a very, very busy schedule in January?
I'll be quite honest with you. Crap. Like, honestly, City have been dropping points left, right, and centre. We're still inconsistent as we've ever been. And coming into January, not us, but like City were near you guys, or like, we're a bit away from you guys. You guys had a good gap, right? And there's been so much talk about how bad City's been, how bad Liverpool's been. How the hell have Arsenal come out of this only with a 4-point lead? Like, they've gone under the radar as underperforming as all hell. Because, let's be honest, with how bad all the other teams have been, you guys should have a much bigger lead. And I'm not trying to have a dig at Arsenal, but if the team at the top of the league hasn't built a massive gap when all these other teams have been failing, then who has been succeeding, really? Like, everyone's been awful in this period. They really have. There's just been points dropped in games people shouldn't be dropping points in.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. We'll touch base on the teams this week prior, and also we'll preview. But if you look at some of the teams, Brentford done a good result, then they dropped points. Then Arsenal have done okay, then they've now dropped points. City have dropped points. Chelsea as well, Liverpool, Newcastle. So it's been a very interesting January. So it's going to be very interesting now going into February. Well, obviously the Carabao Cup starting up next week. For Newcastle and City and Arsenal and Chelsea. You've got the Champions League, the last game of the group eliminations, and then you've got the FA Cup as well, not so far from that, and then obviously the Prem on top. So there's some of the top teams at the moment that are in the cup competitions are playing like twice in a week, which has been tough. And I think the managers have made that quite clear in some of the press conferences as well. So, okay, right. Well, let's get straight into it. We've missed quite a few of the previews and recaps. We did do a bit of a recap on the watch along, which was a fantastic watch along when we were last live for the Man City game. But let's get straight into it. We'll start with you, Anthony. West Ham, Sunderland, 3-1 West Ham. Are we starting to see a little bit of a momentum now for West Ham? Because that's now, obviously, they beat Spurs, which is, madness, but we know what Spurs are like at home last week, and they've now gone and beat Sunderland 3-1. So we're starting to see a bit of a momentum from the Hammers.
I'm just happy that Sunderland lost so we can stop talking about them as Europa League contenders, because I've been having Sunderland fans ramming down my throat saying that you may not make Champions League while we make Europa League. And I'm like, just shut up. You're going to hit reality truck in a few weeks, and it's cop to reality here. So apparently Jacques had a bit of an altercation with a West Ham fan apparently on the bench. I'm not sure if your boy saw that, but he was having an altercation with a West Ham fan while he was on the bench.
Oh, okay.
So it was not a good day to be a Sunderland fan, but yeah, who cares? West Ham starting to pick up form. I've written them off as this relegation just fodder club, but nah, they're now 5 points off Forest, which Forest had a good win against Brentford to keep that gap. But West Ham are looking like a club that is now freaking turned it all around. But for Sunderland, I think this is starting for them to be catched up. Like the Premier League has now started to catch up on them.
Do you believe, from obviously the record this season, we're looking at Sunderland. Sunderland have been very, very good at home. We know that. Stadium Light's been a fortress for them. They've played some big teams and got some fantastic results. But away, they don't seem to, put in the 3 points. So how do you feel? I know, obviously, talking to a Newcastle fan, you're obviously not going to say too much about this club. So I'll keep this brief and we'll go to keeper. But they struggle away compared to home.
But it's one of the weirdest things about this Premier League season is that Sunderland have been dog water away from home, but they're only 3 points off Liverpool in sixth. So that just proves that this Premier League season is just the weirdest shit ever. That Sunderland, who have not been good for like the last couple of months, are like only 5 points off Champions League football, and we've been praising Man United for like being like good these last couple of weeks, but Sunderland are only 5 points behind them. So it just proves that this season is the most competitive Premier League season that we've seen for a long time. And for Sunderland to be this dog water for the last couple of months, to only be 5 points off Champions League, is pretty more than remarkable, realistically.
What about you, Keeper? I'm going to touch base on what someone said the other day, and obviously he's talking about a different result. And Ferdinand came out in the media and said that everyone's doing crap. That's why Arsenal are, in the lead. And I disagreed with that, because end of the day, obviously, United have beaten Arsenal at home. Arsenal lost their second game of the season. But do you believe that there's some truth to that, or do you believe it's just the Premier League is just getting tough and tough and tough each season?
Look, I think that quote's a cop-out. Everyone said the same thing about Liverpool when we finally won a league. Like, it was, you only won because City was shit. Well, we had seasons where we posted record number amount of points and still couldn't win the freaking league. Like, it's an absolute cop-out to say you're only winning the league because other teams are crap. You've got to play what's in front of you. It wasn't that long ago. A few months ago, we were like, United could get relegated. Their manager's got to get sacked, and he has been sacked, and they've won 2 games in a row since he's been sacked. Credit to Michael Carrick, but you have your ups and downs. You have your ups and downs for the Premier League season. Like that's.
But with that, right, this is what makes me laugh. I'm not going off topic, but they're not fucking invincible. They've won 2 games. If you're sitting above Arsenal and Man City, then you can start talking. They're miles behind both of those clubs at the moment, and they've now got this momentum that they're fucking invincible, and that's quite frustrating. And that's why, I actually tweeted back to that tweet that Rio Ferdinand mentioned, and I said, well, come and talk to us when you're above Man City and Man United. If not, pipe down and continue what you're doing with Michael Carrick, because arrogance is going to get you nowhere. And they've got Fulham this weekend. Fulham could smack them at home. Yep, that's the Premier League.
Fulham's one of those teams too. They are a very good habit of taking points off big teams. Yep. They've got a very good that's the Premier League. Like, we've seen it every year without fail. One of the teams in the top 2 spots drops points to a team in the relegation zone. Like, it just happens. Like, it's the Premier League. Any team on their day can get their tactics right. You could get the wrong injuries at the wrong time. You could come up against a team that's got bad injuries at the right time for your team. Like, anything can happen. That's the reality of the Premier League. It's a tough league, and saying that you're only winning a league because other teams have been crap is a complete cop out. You've still got to be the best team that season. You've still got to find a way to play consistent football, if you're not playing consistent football, you're not going to win the league. That's the reality. So
There's so many variables. To take into account, Man United aren't in any fucking cup competition. No Champions League, no Europa League, no FA Cup, no Carabao Cup. They're out of everything. So they can concentrate on Premier League and finish where they need to. They can rest players. You've got the likes of City, the Liverpool. They're playing 2 games in a week. Man United are playing 1.
Yep,
Like
that's right. And you do need squad depth. It's been spoken about for years. There's a reason why Man City was so good for so long was because, let's be honest, for a fair while there, they were fielding. They had a squad that you could put 2 starting 11 sides on and beat nearly every team in the Premier League.
correct.
All right, no club in the Premier League has a squad like that right now. They don't. But Arsenal are the closest to it. They're the team that can probably rotate the most and still get decent results. That being said, you can't rotate your squad too much constantly, or you get no cohesion with the players.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be playing. There's going to be players that are going to be playing 180 minutes a week. There's going to be some that are going to be playing 150 minutes. There's going to be some that are only going to play 45 minutes. That's the reality of the sport. But when you've got a team that's got players only playing 90 minutes a week every week, and that's it. It doesn't matter how talented the players are on Arsenal's on Arsenal's team sheet, as opposed to the talent on United's team sheet. If the United players are fresher, they're not carrying niggles, stuff like that. You can't completely tear your squad apart every game because this player's got a slightly tight muscle or something like this. It's guaranteed there's Arsenal players playing sore. They've got a heavy schedule right now. Same with City, same with Liverpool. They're going to have players that are playing sore. If you've got fresh legs week in, week out, you're going to be able to take points off some of these teams. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, well said. We'll go straight back on what we were talking about, going a little bit away. But I want to talk about on that because I didn't like that comment from Rio Ferdinand. Talking a little bit about Sunderland, we'll move over to Fulham and Brighton very soon. But obviously not saying too much with Anthony because obviously he's a Newcastle fan. But from your point of view, West Ham, are they gaining momentum? And do Sunderland need to do better away from home?
Sunderland have the same problems what we do. Play very well at home, but play shit away. And it's like they're scared. They're scared to play away from home. They play these like low block that just teams can just, and if you're playing teams down at the bottom of the table, especially like the West Hams, the Forest, the Burnleys, who are going to be desperate for points, especially at this stage of the season, you're going to get found out if you're just going to play this defensive, just low block, hoping for like maybe a smash and grab 1-0. You're just going to lose. And what I loved about Sunderland, yes, I put love and Sunderland in the same sentence, is that they were very uncourageous at the start of the season. And I feel like we're slowly starting to lose that. But obviously Sunderland, still 11th in their first season, and they've got Burnley next week. I reckon they'll beat Burnley, and then we'll be back talking about Sunderland being this fun competition again. Like this fun team again.
Okay. What about your take on that, keeper?
What's that? Sorry, SJ?
What about your take on, obviously, West Ham gaining momentum and Sunderland needing to get results away from home?
Yeah, look, West Ham's a seasoned club. They've gone down from time to time. And they could go down this season. If they don't go down this season, they could go down next season. I think they're gaining momentum right now. They're a very experienced club. They're a big club, and a lot of times those big clubs find ways not to go down. They've got that experience up there. Don't get me wrong, Sunderland's a big club, but it's their first season back in the Premier League, and every year without fail, there's a team that finished in the bottom half of the Premier League the year before, or a team that's just come up from the Championship that get off to an absolute flyer. And every year without fail, you can say, look, they will drop off. Look at Villa. Villa have done the same thing. They were absolutely flying at the start of this season, and they've dropped off as well. They've dropped off a bit as well. They're down to, they're third still, but their performances have dropped off, and I think they'll continue to drop off. Like, they're very lucky. They've got an 8-point gap on United right now. They really are, and I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see there's still 15 games left in this season. I wouldn't be surprised to see Villa outside that top 4. Like, these clubs, they do find ways to play good football, but quite often they struggle to sustain it for a long period of time. And every club in the Premier League, minus your very top ones that are pretty consistent all through the season, are going to have stages where they go really well, and they're going to have stages where they go really bad. It's about making the most of those moments when you're playing well. You can't, like when West Ham's in this situation right now, where they're building momentum. This is where they need to win games. They can't drop points to teams they shouldn't be dropping points to, or to other teams around them. They need to take full advantage of this momentum and the way they're playing right now. And that's the difference between getting relegated and not getting relegated. Is making sure you're getting maximum points when you're in the good form period of your season. Because
100%.
you'll have your ups and downs as a mid-table to lower table team. That's just the reality. Yeah, look, obviously Sunderland need to find better form away from home. That's the reality. You can't consistently drop points away from home like at the rate they are and expect to be in the top half of the table. It's not going to happen. I think they've already done enough. Let's be honest, there's 15 games left in the season. They probably only need to grab another 7 points to fully secure the fact they're not going to get relegated. So, and I think they're capable of doing that. They've been very good this season, but that's definitely something they need to work towards. Is, you know, they're a passionate club. Say what you want. There is clubs that have more passion than others. So obviously the supporter base at home is going to be a massive, massive thing for them. But they need to learn to play outside of that too.
Agreed. Well, thanks for that. I've got a message coming in. As a United fan, the advantage that we've had in the past few weeks is the two teams we've played more matches than us, and we're more tired. But United are 100% building momentum. Well, you could say that. Carrick's done a fantastic job, but time will tell. Yes, you've beaten two of the best teams in the league, but you can then go away to Fulham and lose. That's just the Premier League in itself. So thank you very much for that, Culprit Racing. Let's move on. I'm going to go straight back to you, Keeper. Fulham and Brighton. Fulham have been on, I'm going to say astronomical form. They did lose last week against Leeds United, which was a little bit unfortunate. But after that, they beat Chelsea in the London derby. What's your take on Fulham and the Brighton game?
Yeah, look, I think that was an interesting one. I think I can't even remember. I think I either had a draw or Fulham to win that one. It's not a surprising result for me. And the fact that it took a 92nd or 93rd minute winner does not surprise me at all. They're two teams that are both capable of being around that mid-table, like somewhere from like 9th to about 12th. And, both those teams are capable of beating the other team on their day. And it panned out that way. It was a very close game. Harry Wilson, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Might be a little bit biased because of where he's played before, but yeah, he's an absolute jet. And yeah, credit to Fulham. They're in some good form at the moment. And, like I said, these are those, when you're in that form, you need to be able to win those games that are 50-50. And they've found a way to do that.
Yeah, they have. They're doing pretty well, and looking at them in the table, 7th in the table, 1 point in front of Brentford, 2 points behind Liverpool. So doing a stellar job. Brighton, though, 2 draws and a loss, down there in 12th, 30 points, joint with Bournemouth. Anthony, what's your thoughts to Brighton at the moment?
Mid-table plotters. Unfortunately, I don't see them getting Europe. I don't see them playing in the Championship. So I feel like this season is just a bit of a... If West Ham can pick up... Yeah, just stay mid-table. They can get a good run. Like, they're only 8 points off 4th place United. Like, one good run of form can get them back up there. But one bad run of form, they'll be in the relegation scrap.
I got a question for you, or for both of you, really, on that. I actually don't think it's a bad thing that Brighton are there. I feel like a club where Brighton are at the moment, the worst thing possible for them is Champions League football, or not Champions League, European football in general, Conference League, Europa League, whatever. They go to that next season, if they don't bring out a checkbook and bring in players and add a heap of depth to that squad, a lot of those teams, you see a lot of those teams that they have that one good season, they reach Champions League or a European League spot, they get the extra games, they don't fix the depth of the club. They're nearly always in a relegation battle the next season. So I don't think, like, obviously you want to see them doing well. You don't want to just plateau in the middle of the league. You always want to aim higher. And for the fans, it'd be great to have European football, but I don't think they're in a spot right now where they actually want to have that next season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's touch base on Brighton. Let's touch base on a key player for Brighton this season, Danny Welbeck. 8 goals in the Premier League, and he has been very prolific for Brighton. Can they just rely on Danny Welbeck, or do they have other players that can cause problems? They've just signed Pascal Grob back again from Dortmund. I don't know why they let him go in the first place. He's such a substantial player for Brighton. But Matoma hasn't really had the season this season. I've seen him. I saw him linked with Liverpool and Chelsea and City a long time ago, but he hasn't really had the season. You know, Baliba has been out with obviously African Nations Cup. Minter has played well, but you know, Van Heck has been. I think Van Heck's been quite good. I think he's a solid defender. Caused a lot of problems for Man City. Do Brighton have anything else in the ammo in the cannon? Like, what's your thoughts? Anyone?
You go, Anthony.
I was waiting for you to say something, Keeper, but I just don't see this Brighton side going, because you don't want to plateau. Because once we saw that with Sunderland from I think 2010 to 2017, they were just plateauing above the relegation zone, and then they went down. So you don't really want to plateau in mid-table for long. Otherwise, they can just go down one season. So it's happened with so many other clubs like Watford, Norwich, Southampton, just plateauing mid-table and then fall off a cliff into the relegation zone. So for Brighton, they need to find, in this last week of the window, they need to find a striker, because you can't rely on Danny Welbeck to score goals. Yes, he's been good, and you can use him as a backup striker, but you need someone younger, quicker, and more technical at that striker position.
Keeper, you want to touch base on this? You agree?
Yeah, I do. They need signings. Their squad is not where it needs to be to keep competing the way they have been in recent seasons. And yeah, if they plateau, it's gonna be lower down the table. Like they had some great players. Don't get me wrong, they've sold some great players and made great profit, but they haven't invested in the talent that covers what they've lost. They just don't have that talent there at the moment, I don't think, fully.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer. I like the honesty. For me, I'm not sure. They're at home this weekend against Everton. So, you know, they're going to want to get a result there. Sitting in 12th in the league at the moment. You know, they need to try and, you know, catch up. Sunderland have obviously dropped massively from where they were down to 11th as well. So, you know, Brighton's form's not the worst, obviously, in the last 5 games. Drawn, and lost. So you will keep an eye out on Brighton. Moving on, we do have a question as well on this, which I will talk about after. This was obviously probably obvious result here. Actually, no, I was going away from a different club. Let's go. Actually, we'll go to this one actually, and then we'll go back to this one because this was a shock. I couldn't believe this result, especially what's been happening in the week. Man City needed to bounce back. We've seen that they've really struggled in the last few weeks. If you look at the table as well, you know, drawn, lost, drawn, lost, won. So yeah, that's not like. You know, that's not like Man City, is it? You know, we're not normally seeing green, and win. But unfortunately, things haven't gone to plan. I'm going to go with you on keeper on this one. This was obviously a must-win result against Wolves, but playing a team that has struggled all season and look like they're going to still struggle till the end of the season.
Yeah, look, it's a win. They needed it. It wasn't vintage Manchester City. It wasn't a fantastic performance, but I mean, they hadn't won in 4 games before that, so maybe this is what they needed to, you know, lift the confidence up in them. What they need to do, they need to work out how to win games without Haaland, because he is completely out of form. He's doing nothing, and they need to find a way to play without him. Because let's be honest, when he doesn't play, when he doesn't score goals, they rarely win games at the moment. and they play like that against most other teams, and not the worst team in the league, then they probably don't even get a win again on the weekend.
He didn't start
yeah,
though, did he? He didn't start against Wolves. Neither did Doku.
no, maybe there was a lot of talk that he needed a rest. So that's probably why they didn't start him. They're like, yep, Wolves bottom of the table. He needs a rest. He's been playing a lot of football and not doing great. Let's try rejuvenate him. So I'm not really surprised. If you're going to pick a game where you're going to rest your superstar, it's going to be when you're versing the team on the bottom of the table. That's just smart. That's just smart player management, really. You're not going to piss the player off by dropping him against the bottom team on the table. He's going to get the rest that he needs. Let's see how he goes coming back. Because they're not going to leave him out. They're not going to leave him on that bench. He's too good to be sitting on the bench. So I reckon that's just a one game. Give him a rest and get him back out there, and hopefully he finds a bit of form when he comes back for their sake. Because they don't look great when he's not looking great, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree, and I will touch base on a few other things with City as well. I'm going to go over to you, Anthony, about Wolves. Obviously, they've tried away to Man City. It was going to be a tough ask, but is this the end of the Premier League for Wolves?
For this season, yes, they are down. They were down before the ball was even kicked. When I saw them just their transfer window in the summer, I knew they were already down, but it's not the end of the Premier League forever. I reckon Wolves will bounce immediately back up the following season. Because if you look at these clubs that have been plateauing, like I said before, Wolves have been mid-table for forever, like ever since they came up. And now they've finally got rid of all their Portuguese talent, and now we think a squad that pretty much is not even good enough for the championship, unfortunately, this squad. So Rob Edwards needs to really consider his best 11 for next season. Don't worry about the Premier League. Worry about building the future for Wolves beyond this season, and then bounce back in the championship, because they're down. I'm sorry, they're down. You can't have 8 points after 23 games and survive. It's
There's
impossible.
zero chance of them coming up, because let's be honest, Nottingham Forest are 17 points ahead of them. I think Forest, they've won 2 out. They haven't lost in their last 3 games, Forest, so they're gaining points. They're going to continue to gain some more points. I always thought they were too good to be as low as they were. And let's be honest, you need minimum probably 35 points to stay up. So you're talking about another 27 points in 15 games. It's nearly 2 points a game. So basically, every time you draw a game, that's half of what you need. So they need to win the majority of their games they've got left. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
But I will say this, they will not be as worse as Derby. They will not be as worse as what Derby was, because they actually won a game in January. So I do not think they will be worse than Derby, which I feel like is actually more impressive than themselves, to not be as worse as that god-awful Derby team.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's your question. To carpet racing, do you boys think like 2 Wolves to stay out? And personally, I think it is. Well, I think these guys have said it is job done. Wolves will be going down at the end of the season. I do want to talk. I want to go back to Man City before we go on to Tottenham and Burnley. Do you think that there's other things going on at the moment in the background for City which is causing problems and a little bit of pressure? Obviously, Arsenal, obviously the team at the moment at the top, they've got all the pressure. Obviously, the result of the weekend did go to plan. Everyone's, still saying things about them regarding some of the stats of the players. But Man City have been in a situation where they just lost 3-1 against Bodø Glimt, which no one thought that was ever going to happen. Bodø Glimt, team in Norway, not the biggest team, we don't really know too much about them. Absolutely wiped the floor with City in that game. I've got to admit, I watched the highlights, watched a little bit of it. They're going into the situation as well. They need to beat Galatasaray to go through as well. And to take into account, the Premier League is not going to get any easier for them. They've got an away fixture against Tottenham, which they struggle at home to beat Tottenham, but Tottenham are absolutely shite at home. Then they're going to Newcastle in the Cup. Yes, they've got a 2-0 lead there, but that's still tough. And then they're away to the mighty Liverpool, and then at home against Fulham. So they got some tough games, man. They got some tough games. I can see, and a lot of people have said it. I've heard about it. I've been reading it. People are still saying that Man City could drop points even more in the next few weeks. But also, they've got to take into account they're going to look behind them because Villa are on the same amount of points. Are these problems for City? I'm going to go with you, Anthony.
No, I don't think so. Just and focus and what's to come. And yes,
You broke it up. You're breaking up, mate. We'll come back. We'll come back. He always does this. He leaves and joins. But yeah. Over those few topics that we're talking about, what do you think, keeper? Like, for me, I think they're in a little bit of trouble. I really do.
Look, there's multiple things going on. I'm going to drop off. Some might say it's a bombshell. Some might say it's not. But I'll start with the obvious one first, right? Their defense is an absolute shambles. They're absolutely injury riddled, and right now the only way they're going to continue to get consistent points is to bang goals in the back of that net. And Haaland's out of form, which doesn't help, right? Because they are conceding goals. There's no if, buts, or maybes about that. Until they get their injury crisis dealt with, they are conceding goals. So remember when Klopp first came into Liverpool, it was, I don't care how many goals we concede because we're going to score more. They need to take that mentality right now while they've got the defense that they've got, because that's how they're going to get points. They need to start going, right, I don't care if we concede 3 goals, we're going to score 4. They can't be looking for 1-0 wins, 2-0 wins, stuff like that, because with the defense they've got at the moment, it's not going to happen. We saw that in the Manchester derby. United were more than happy to play on the counter, same way they played against Arsenal, funnily enough, because they knew that defense was fragile. It was young defenders with bugger all experience that can be completely and utterly taken advantage of. And so they need to be really, really lethal in attack until they can get their defensive issues fixed with. You asked before, do I think there's more going on behind the scenes? My comment on that is, I wonder if Pep's nearly on his way out. He's only signed small contracts. I think his last contract was only a small extension. He's been at the club for a very, very long time. They're not the team they used to be. I feel like it could be getting close that Pep leaves City.
Big thing to say. But the reason I ask is because they've got the Champions League coming up. They've just come from a 3-1 loss to Bodo Glimt. They've got to beat Galatasaray to go through. Otherwise, they're in elimination, and they could be in any playoff with any of those teams. And those teams in that playoffs, they're not sugar. There's some tough teams in there. Then they've got the EFL Cup. Yeah, they're going into a 2-0 win again, 2-0 lead against Newcastle, right? Which is obviously a good start, but. I've seen in football history, man. I've seen Leeds being, I've seen people come back from 2-0s. You get one goal, you get the momentum, you get another one, and then you're 2-2, and then it's on. Extra time. They've not been very good against Tottenham at their ground. They've always struggled. I think it's been one of their bogey sides. And then they're playing Liverpool. Well, Liverpool will have a point to prove. There's always a big game against Liverpool. They've got all their players back. Salah's back from the African Nations Cup. He's now being integrated back into the team. Liverpool seem to be on an off run at the moment. City's defence is a problem. Fulham, we've seen play them at the beginning of the season. They only just won that game 5-4. You've then also got take into account, you've then got Villa behind on the same amount of points. There's a lot of pressure on City at the moment in 2 areas. Well, 3 areas. 1, they've got to get through to the Cup. 2, they've got to get through the Champions League. And 3, they need to keep the pressure on Arsenal at the front.
Look, I get it. It's 4 points. They want to win a league title and stuff like that. There comes a point in seasons... And, I mean, this got a manager sacked last year, and I still to this day don't understand how, that sometimes you got to pick a competition to prioritise. All right? Right now, they're in the playing for all of them. They've still got to keep playing for all of them at the moment. But there will come a point in this season where they can say, screw this, screw that, we've got to put our energy into this. Their big focus right now, their big focus is rightio. Let's get automatic qualification to the Champions League. Yeah, that's their big focus right now. But they've still got to focus on the Premier League. If they drop off in the Premier League, that's when you go rightio. We've got a nice, really big gap to the team in 5th place. We're pretty much guaranteed top 4 as long as we put in half decent performances. Let's put all our focus into the Champions League. There's going to come a point in the season where they've got to decide between Champions League or Premier League. I believe that because I don't think they can win both.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know. My opinion is I think it's not the same City team. They've got them a lot of injuries. They've signed Mark Gay to fix that problem. Yes, solid performance at the weekend, but it was Wolves. What's he going to do against Spurs, Fulham, Newcastle, and Liverpool? That's going to be the time will tell. So, yeah, I think there's a lot more. I think we've lost Anthony, which is a little bit frustrating because it would have been good to hear his thoughts on it as well. But we'll go away and we'll go. I'll let you talk to me about this result because you know I hate this team. Burnley and Tottenham. Thomas Frank has been under extreme pressure in the last few weeks. Apparently, using an Arsenal Cup in a game, chewing gum more times than he's talking, not getting the results. I'll let you take this one over to me. You can ask the question to me.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Do you think? I get it. They're under pressure, and stuff like that. Are you really surprised by this result, though, is my thought to you, given how Burnley has played against top teams this season?
No, I'm not, because I look at last week. You're playing West Ham, right? And this is why the Premier League is the best in the world, because like you're playing these teams at the bottom, and on paper you're going right. That's 3 points. Arsenal, Nottingham Forest at the bottom, Arsenal at the top. We drew 0-0. Yes, we could have had a penalty. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, weeks on, but we forget it. We move on. You're playing Burnley right down the bottom. Tottenham a lot higher. Not that higher, but on paper, Tottenham should win that game. But they don't. And why? Do they have too many injuries? I've watched Tottenham this season, and they've played like a fucking championship side. They don't seem to have any idea on the pitch. Yes, they've had a few injuries, but their best player is their fucking centre-back who's scoring goals. Now, your centre-back ain't going to score you 15, 20 goals, is he? And they've brought in Xavi Simons. He needs to adapt. Solanke come back. Good to see him on the score sheet. I've always rated him. I thought he was fantastic for Bournemouth. Paid an extortionate amount of money for him, but he's been injured. They've got Koloa Miani, who's supposed to be amazing. He plays for France. I think he's a starter for France. He's from PSG. He's been out injured. He's come into the Premier League. He's probably needing time to adapt. They've got him on a loan. Are they going to sign him? I don't think they'll sign him. I don't think he'll go to Spurs. They just don't seem to have any idea. And the people that are scoring the goals, and unfortunately, if they didn't have these players, is Romero and Mickey van der Ven.
Now, I was just about to get to that. You've pretty much just covered what I was going to say, but 4 out of their last 5 goals has come from their defense. Is that concerning? Is that concerning that you literally have attackers and midfielders for a reason, and their defenders are not only having to defend but do the goal scoring too?
The thing is that when you talk about stats, it's tough because it's like, oh yeah, there's no GAs and there's all this and all that. But yeah, that's the problem. If your defenders are scoring your goals, then where is your creativity? Spurs have got some good players. They just sold Brendan Johnson to Crystal Palace for 35 million, but have you replaced him? No. Got no James Maddison. They've got no Bentancur. He's out. Solanke's just come back from injury. They don't seem to have a fucking clue what they're doing. And it's like, I think it's going to get worse for Spurs. I think they're going to go further and further down. And I think Thomas Frank, if he doesn't beat City, I think he's out. And do you know what the funniest thing is? I think Tottenham will beat City. And they'll give them another week and then they'll lose again. And then we'll be doing the same thing again. And it'll be up and down, up and down. And I don't know. He was fantastic at Brentford. Daniel Levy's gone. They've said so many times he was the problem, but he's gone, right? And now you've got no one. You've got obviously Vinny Vanashkam, ex-Arsenal chairman. Funny that. He's in charge of the club, but they just don't, there's a week. I think there's just under a week to go in the transfer market or a couple of days. They need to do something. They have money. Buy a winger and buy another striker or get someone on fucking loan or do something because your playmaker's been out for so long in James Maddison and they just don't have anything in that midfield. And I think when you draw against Burnley, you've got to say, what the fuck? Really?
Yep. No, fair.
So
I agree with that.
I'll go with you now, but I'll go with you on the other side. What's your take on Burnley? It's a fucking great result, isn't it, for them?
Oh, it's a fantastic result for them. And I mean, my take on them is, well, look, they've had a great habit of being able to steal some points off some teams that should be a lot better than them, or getting very close to stealing points off some teams that should be a lot better than them and conceding late goals or whatever. But this is the reality. You cannot play the style of play that Burnley play and expect to stay up in the Premier League unless you have a much better caliber of players in your squad. You cannot, the way United have won their last two games is by hitting people on the counter. Burnley's trying to do the same thing with not even close to anywhere near the same level of talent. And that is why they've only won, 3 games all season?
Yeah. To me, they're holding on. They're holding on.
Yeah. But they've come in, and credit to them, they've come in with a game plan. They've stuck by it throughout it. They've stayed true to who they are. The problem for me is that you can't win football games playing that way unless you've got the right players to play that way.
Mm.
And unfortunately, their players aren't of a high enough caliber to be able to pull it off.
No, definitely.
So I'll be honest with you. Them and Wolves are locked in. They are not staying up either. They are not. They are not getting a 10-point. They are not closing a 10-point deficit to Nottingham Forest, who plays attacking football, and can tries. I mean, yeah, given their current manager, maybe not as much, but you know what I mean. Like they don't play the right style to go after getting enough points to keep them up from here. They really don't. And their only hope is that Leeds completely falls apart and they somehow win some games.
Which I can't see that happening. Leeds are on a good form. They just drew against Everton. So, and they've been on great form lately. Do you believe that Tottenham could get dragged into this? Because I'm looking at the table now. Tottenham, 28 points, joint with Crystal Palace. The only difference is goal difference. Leeds have been putting in performances. They're only 2 points behind Tottenham. Tottenham lose their next game. Crystal Palace and Leeds. Tottenham go all the way down to 16th.
Look, I think it's too close for comfort for Tottenham at the moment, but I don't think they're at risk of going down. I don't. I get it. West Ham's building momentum. They're closing that gap, but I would back out of those 4 teams below Tottenham. I would pick any one of those 4 to go down before I even admit to thinking Tottenham could. I think Tottenham will do enough to stay up.
Just imagine the scenes. They win a Europa League and then get fucking relegated. Oh my god!
I mean, that would be karma. That would be karma from sacking the manager that won you your first trophy in God knows how long.
Yeah, well, from last season, might as well call it the fucking Milk Cup, mate, because anyone they played was shite, to be honest with you. Put them in the Champions League. Are they going to go through? This is the funniest thing. They have. This is another thing. I'm just going to touch a little bit on this before we do go away. It's not the same squad in the Champions League, though, is it? What's that about? I don't understand it. You've got the Champions League, and they've gone through. But the Premier League, they're shite. They are absolutely shit.
Well, maybe Thomas Frank's going to get sacked for the same reason. Maybe he'll take them all the way through to a Champions League win, and he'll get sacked too because he didn't look after the team in the Premier League. Because that's exactly why Postecoglou got sacked.
But with their momentum in the Champions League and going into the next round, that make him in that job just to see what happens. And if they get eliminated straight away in the Champions League, they might sack him.
Yeah, well, at this point, I was speaking about it before. You've got to have competition. Comes a point in the season where you've got to prioritise a competition. Right now, they've got nothing to play for in the Premier League, so they can focus everything on the Champions League. They can put their best foot forward there. They can go after that and kind of go, oh yeah, screw the league, rah rah. But they've got to be very, very careful because, like you said, they're not that far ahead of that relegation zone, and unlike City, who can just be like, oh, yep, cool, screw it, we're still going to finish top 4 and be in the Champions League next season, let's try and win it this year, right? They don't have that luxury. If they completely throw their fucking, just don't care about the Premier League and go after the Champions League, hey, they might be one of the first ever teams to be playing Champions League football next year after just winning a trophy, but still playing in the Championship. So they've got to be careful.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on. We'll go over to a big result, and this was massive right at the end. I know you're probably not going to take too much on this, but Bournemouth and Liverpool. Bournemouth obviously getting rid of their best player. I know we keep saying it, Semio, but it doesn't seem to faze Bournemouth, does it, at the moment?
No, they've still got a good squad. Look, I get it. Semenyo was a huge part of it. They were people like, oh, they're not going to be the same without him. Bournemouth are a club that have a lot of young talent on the bench, and the only reason they haven't been playing is because there's been someone just a bit better than them in front of them. So this is a great chance for, some of that talent to come through and shine, and, it did. It did. They played they're up against a very inconsistent Liverpool squad that doesn't, we score more than one goal a game, we concede 2 or 3. And, if we score 1 goal a game, we keep a clean sheet. That's just how we play at the moment, unfortunately. We don't really seem to have an identity. And yeah, Bournemouth took full advantage of that. They came at us, they attacked us, and unlike previous years, our defense is very fragile this year. It's gone from being the best way to beat Liverpool is to shut up shop and starve them because they don't create quite as well as what City do, and then hit them on the counter, to now playing attacking football is the best way to beat us because our defense is actually fragile now. We've got a brand new right back that's new at the club. I get it. We're 23 games in the season. Should be better by now. 100% agree. We've got a brand new We've got a brand new right back at the club. We've got a brand new left back that's at the club. Both who are very, very attacking based, which is putting a lot of pressure on the centre backs. Van Dijk is aging. He's old, and Kanate. Well, I don't know how many times this season I've seen him jump for a ball and miss it by about 5 meters. I think he needs glasses or depth perception, freaking investigations or something, because he's just all over the place. So yeah. Any team out there that can't work in Liverpool out, it's pretty damn simple. Play attacking football against us. You will score goals.
Yeah, I think I couldn't believe this when I saw it, right in the last minute for Bournemouth. That was a big knife to the throat knife to the heart for Liverpool, because I think they honestly thought that was going to be a draw in the end. But if we're just looking at Liverpool in the last 5 games, just to give you a little bit of an insight, and this is probably not a good stat. Draw, loss. 36 points, P6. 2 points is Fulham behind them, and they're 1 point behind Chelsea. It's not a good stat, is it really? 4 games on the bounce, drawing. Is that something? Because we get to the end of the season, and then the managers review, and they say, "Oh, we got so many injuries," and last season it was the other way around. Liverpool had no injuries, and Arsenal had all the injuries, and they were the conversation. City have so many injuries, can't even field a back 4 properly. You got a academy, a younger, and then they obviously have to buy someone to put in there. Liverpool have no Isaac, They've had no Salah. He's obviously been off in form. He's been in African Nations Cup. Arsenal have had a few players out injured. Chelsea have had a few players out injured. Is that the reason, or is it just they are so inconsistent? 1 week they'll win, 1 week they'll lose, and then you're going into obviously this weekend. Obviously, they're playing Newcastle at home, which is another tough game because Newcastle are going to want to bounce back. So, what's the problem at the moment, or is it a long-term thing at the moment? We're going to see till the end of the season.
I'll tell you, mate. Look under my name right there. Alonso in, Slot out. Slot has he doesn't have a game plan, mate. We play a different way every freaking time we're out on the pitch. 1 minute we're defence and all about being super defensive and grabbing that one goal. The next week we're playing attacking football and conceding goals left, right, and centre. There's no identity. The players, it doesn't make sense. You watch one game and the players are walking around, tapping the ball around, doing absolutely nothing with it. And then the next game, they're creative. They're trying to move the ball quickly. It's like watching Dr. Freaking Mr. Jekyll.
But
Dr.
I
Hyde,
wouldn't.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr.
I
Hyde,
don't think he's the problem, though.
I do.
I think it's your sporting director. I think your sporting director has made a big fuck up of the transfers. He spent a certain amount of money on 2 players, which probably one player was all good, but the second player you didn't need. You needed to give Hugo time. He's done very well in his first season, and it's going to take time to adapt, and you needed that centre back, and you did not buy it. And I think that has been the biggest problem.
I agree. But I've been saying about Liverpool for years, even when we're doing well, we keep making signings in the wrong positions. We've done it even when Klopp was in charge.
But he won the league last season. So why don't you sack him?
Well, mate, where are we right now? Nowhere and everywhere at the same time.
But Chelsea done this. Chelsea won the league and then fell down to P10 and they fired Jose Mourinho at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm just not happy. I'm not happy with where we're at. And you know what? In 4 weeks' time, it's going to be 10 times worse. Because not only do we play Newcastle at home this week, we then have Man City. We're then away to Sunderland, and then we've got Brighton, Brighton's in the FA Cup. Then we're away to Forest.
Well, you win all 3 games. Do you keep him?
Oh, mate, if you win all 3 games, he's definitely going to buy himself time. But from all reports in the last 48 hours, Liverpool have already been in contact with Alonso's camp. Alonso's already put in demands for what he wants if he gets the job. So, he needs to get results and he needs to get them ASAP, because if those reports are coming out that they've already had contact with another manager, that means they're already considering sacking him. So
it seems to me you don't want him.
Oh, look, I probably nostalgia, all right? I wanted Alonso before we even got Slot, all right? I wanted Alonso before we got Slot. I was as gobsmacked as everyone that we won a trophy in our first season. Klopp left in him an amazing team, albeit a relatively aging team in a fair few positions. We've gone out, made some massive signings this year. I think we needed to make some of those signings, but I think we missed the most important ones that we needed to make. And look, I don't think he's been able to get the best out of the players he's got in. Sounds stupid. I know there's more than 2 players to a squad, but if you bring in Alonso, 2 of the biggest signings we made in the off-season have already won a trophy with him. He knows how they work. And those players have been having backdoor communications with him because he's been watching them play and he's been in contact with them, telling them what to do to fix their game while at Liverpool.
But he's just been sacked from Real Madrid.
Yeah. It's Real Madrid, mate. That's like the Manchester United job. You don't get that straight away, you're gone. Like, let's be serious. That's the reality.
Well, no, the players didn't trust him.
Yeah,
he had a massive fallout with Vinicius Jr. Didn't get on with Mbappe. I don't know if you heard about it. Barcelona won the cup, I think it was, and they were talking about a guard of honor, and Alonso wanted the guard of honor, and Mbappe said no, and all the players listened to Mbappe and Alonso, and that was it. And he was gone the next day.
Yeah, but mate, you've got to look. What era did Alonso come from? All right.
True, but then again, you don't want to rubbish a legendary. You don't want to.
He came from a hard ass football era.
Yeah, back in the day.
He came from a hard working one, and he's now coaching a bunch of freaking spoilt little brat wannabes that just want to do step overs left, right, and center, and don't like to work hard. So,
but you don't want to rubbish his name, though. You don't want to bring him into a club and then Liverpool get worse, because that's the hard thing.
If he gets worse, he gets worse. It is what it is. All right. Like, I think he'll be a better manager for us in Slot. That's just my honest opinion. And I'm saying right now, if the reports are true, Slot has to win. Because if they've already made contact with another manager, that means they're thinking of sacking him, which means he's already on thin ice.
So you believe he's got City, or do you believe he's got 2 games or 3 games, or do you believe it's just City?
I don't know.
He's got Newcastle and City.
He might have the rest of the season. It might be you go to the end of the season and then you're gone. Like, you don't know. That's the inner house stuff. Those conversations we had. There's only 15 games left in the season. If the club thinks Alonso could come in and get us back into Champions League football, then guess what? Yeah, that they probably you pull the pin on that decision. Also, you fire the pin on that decision sooner rather than later, because the later you do it, the less games you got to make that change. You know what I mean? So it's either going to happen really soon, if it is going to happen, or it won't happen at all this season. That's just the reality.
I wanted to give you some airtime on that because it's been a big talking point. There's been a lot going on in the last few weeks with the transfer market just about to finish up. Liverpool obviously losing against Bournemouth. You know, they're in the Champions League still. So there's been so much going on. Just going to read this comment before we then touch base and get through the rest of the games. It's been a little bit of a talk about most of the others. I've got this comment coming in from Colbert Racing. How can Liverpool fans say that they are better than United, yet this window they spent 2 times the amount of us and are below us and we are crap? How does that work?
I'll answer that one for you, mate. I can answer that one for you.
Go on then. Very, 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 very short.
You spent 10 years spending more money than us every transfer window, and you were worse than us that whole entire 10 years. Sometimes spending money doesn't work.
Well, there you go. There's your answer. And mine would be is that you've never replaced Fergie. Every manager you've had after that has been shit. So yeah, that's my take on it as well. And it makes me laugh because Michael Carrick's taken over. Man United fans now think they're fucking invincible. The guy he got sacked from Borough. He's come into interim before. He's done it before. Then he left. I think he went to Borough for that time. He's then come back. He's done 2 jobs. He's done great. Honestly, hands down, Carrick has done a fantastic job. It's 2 games. 2. Man United have been shit all season, right? They are not a big club anymore. Let's take on it. Yeah, they've got a few players and stuff like this.
They're a big club.
They're not a big club.
You don't stop being a big club. Fucking Leeds was still a big club when they were in the Championship, mate.
I don't think United are a big club anymore. I really don't.
They are a big club.
They couldn't buy anyone. They can't attract world-class players like Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Chelsea. They can't do it anymore. They spend way too much money for Brian Mbeumo. 82 million on him. 82 million because he had 1 good season, right? They bought Cisco. They throw all this shit at Glockerez and all that, mate. What's he done this season? Fuck all.
You can't do fuck all when the manager has you on the bench every game, though. That's not on him.
Well, true, but he doesn't trust him, though, does he? That's another thing. We can go into a big debate about United and Liverpool and all that. Is history there? 2 games. Congratulations. Well done. Let's have a conversation and see where you are in mid-February. Right.
It's only a couple of weeks away, mate.
Mid-February. We'll do. Well, end of February. Let's move on. Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Obviously, Crystal Palace getting rid of players, which I didn't think they want to see would happen. But pretty shocking against Chelsea keeper.
Yeah, no, they're not in a great spot at the moment at all. And yeah, it's with some of the news that's starting to leak out in the last, again, 24 to 48 hours, they could be about to be in a bit more trouble. So yeah, it's not good for them at the moment. They've selling players. They started the season so well. They've lost players. They haven't replaced them. It's not looking good, and they could be about to lose one of their young superstars this window still, apparently. So yeah.
It's looking very likely, isn't it? And we'll talk about that near the end.
Again, this is I love the signing, but it's going to blow my freaking mind again because we're buying another midfielder when we need defenders.
Yes, I heard about it. We will talk about the 2 because it's 2 Crystal Palace players as well, which is massive. They lost Eze, they lost Guy, and they could lose another 2, which we'll talk about later on. Chelsea, are they a dark horse under Rosner at the moment? He seemed to hit the ground running quite well.
Sorry, what was that one?
Are Chelsea an underdog at the moment? Because Liam Rosner has seemed to hit the ground running quite well.
Oh, I wouldn't call them an underdog. They're playing for. Let's be honest. There's three clubs at the moment playing for one spot to try and secure Champions League football next year. I don't think any of them are underdogs, and I don't think any of them are favourites because they're all as inconsistent as each other.
Okay, all right.
Unless Villa fall off a cliff, one of Liverpool, Chelsea, or United have to get fourth place to secure Champions League football next season.
Well, it's going to be a nice little fight because, Man United of 38 to 46, but we'll talk about that later on. Moving on, Newcastle and Villa. Newcastle losing at home, which is something you do not see. But the last two results, 0-0 against Wolves and 2-0 loss to Villa. And obviously Villa have surprised us mostly this season. What's your take on that?
Yeah, look, I keep waiting for Villa to fall off. I really do. I keep thinking it's going to happen. Their form drops off a bit. I mean, they've won as many games in the last 5 as they've lost. So their form's starting to drop off a little bit. But, I mean, if you actually look at those top 4 or 5 teams, or even 6 teams, those results are all over the place at the moment. So while they are falling off, they're not actually losing any. They're not really losing any ground on the top 2 teams. They're not really fucking having the gap closed by the teams below them. Because, Arsenal's only won 2 of their last 5. City's only won 1 of their last 5. Villa's won 2 of their last 5. United's won 2 of their last 5. Chelsea's won 2 of their last 5. Liverpool have won none of their last 5. Like, none of those teams at the top of the table right now are what you would call in good form. So,
we're in good form. Newcastle were in good form.
Yeah,
they won 3 on their last 5, then drew and lost. So,
it's you'd say it's a bad loss because it's a home game. All right, a club like Newcastle doesn't want to be losing at home, regardless of who they're playing. So in that aspect, it's a bad loss. But you're talking about a Villa side who, yes, they've lost 2 of their last 5, but a month ago they were more informed than Arsenal. They'd taken more points over a longer period of time than Arsenal had. Like, they were absolutely flying. So there is no doubt at all that Villa have really good talent and a really good squad and a good manager at the moment. So
until they lost 4-1.
Until they lost 4-1 to you guys. Exactly. So, it's a bad loss because they're at home, but it's not an unexpected result, in my opinion.
Do you think Newcastle can bounce back from that? Tough game.
They can bounce back from it. It's a tough game, but they can definitely bounce back from it. I mean, who have they got coming up at the moment?
Liverpool.
This week, well, they've actually got one of the hardest weeks you'll probably ever see in football. They've got away to PSG in the Champions League and need to win to finish in the top 8. They are then away to Liverpool at Anfield 3 days later, and then 4 days after that, they're away to Man City in the Cup. That is about as hard a week of football you're going to get.
And they've got to pull a 2-goal deficit as well.
Look, I'll be honest, if they want to win a trophy this year, the Cup's their best opportunity. So that might actually work in Liverpool's favour because they might have to rest some players when they play us, especially if they also, their Champions League game against PSG is must win if they want to get automatic qualification to the knockout stages. So, by that, then play less games of football because they don't have to do the playoffs. So, I mean, Liverpool's probably sitting in a pretty sweet position there for their fixture against Newcastle because they have 2 massively important games either side of it. But yeah, that hurts knowing what they've got coming up.
Okay, moving on. I think this was probably one of the biggest shocks of the week as well, or top 3. Brentford losing at home to Nottingham Forest. Igor Thiago has been on fantastic form this season, but 2-0. Forest managing to get a fantastic result and putting them out of the relegation zone now, 5 points above West Ham. What a result for Nottingham Forest. What went wrong for Brentford in that game?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest, I haven't seen this one. I've seen the result, but I hadn't seen much else. Great result for Forest. I think they're another team that's slowly coming back to what we expected from them at the start of the season as to what we actually saw. I think they're better than what their football has shown. And I mean, they're undefeated in their last 3. They've won 2 of those 3 games. Yeah, Brentford lost 2 on the trot now. Starting to there's a number of teams in there: Fulham, Brentford, Newcastle, Everton. They all need to find form. They can't be dropping points now because they're fighting for those Europa League and Conference League spots. If they want European football next year, now's not really the time of the season you want to start dropping games, especially when some of the teams around you are picking up games. So yeah, not a great result for Brentford at all. Again, it's a home game. When you want to be playing European football the next season in any of those competitions, you need to be winning your home games.
Definitely. And they're
especially
also...
against a team that's been spent most of the season in the relegation zone too.
Definitely. And obviously Sean Dyche has seemed to have done a fantastic job since taking over. But as well, you're looking at Brentford and you look at that table, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, all on 33 points. Brentford 1 point behind Fulham, 3 points behind Liverpool, and going into Villa this weekend, which will be a very, very tough game away as well. So interesting to see there. Moving on, we'll leave the big game, the biggest game probably of the weekend, last, because I know that Keeper's probably going to have to ask me some few questions on this, which I'm going to get quite annoyed, probably. But we'll go over to Everton and Leeds. Everton drawn this one. Leeds have been on great form at the moment. You're looking at where they are. They're in 26 points, 1 point above Forest, 2 points behind Crystal Palace. Drawn, lost, 1 drawn. And Everton 1 lost, drawn, 1 drawn. Everton in 10th. And obviously with the news of Jack Grealish with a hefty injury for a long period of time, doing pretty well, Leeds. Everton, they just seem to be a little bit like Brighton, just getting along, aren't they? They're doing quite nicely compared to last season.
Oh, look, it hurts me to say this, but I actually think I thought Everton were a lock to win this game. I really did. Like that. The only negative that you can really say of Everton at this point in the season is look at the table, look at the goals scored. They are so low down on the goals scored situation that compared to other teams around them, minus Sunderland, who's a newly promoted team, so you'd expect that they're not going to be able to stay in that top half without scoring goals. And games against teams like Leeds, that's where they need to find their goals. I honestly thought they were a lock to win this game, but my biggest criticism of Everton is you can't stay in that top half. You've played 23 games of football, and they have only scored 25 goals. That stat in itself is an absolute miracle that they're even in the top half of the league. Don't get me wrong, they're defending brilliantly. They've only conceded 26 goals in 23 games. That's fantastic defense. There's only 3 teams above them that have conceded, 4 teams above them that have conceded less goals than they have. So that's Chelsea, that's Aston Villa, that's Man City, that's Arsenal. That tells you how good Everton's defense has been. But then you look at the table, and the only team near them that has scored less than them is Sunderland. You've got to then go down all the way down to Crystal Palace. I mean, even West Ham, Leeds, and Burnley have scored as many goals as Everton have this season, and they're all down the bottom of the table. So Everton definitely need to do something about their attack. It's all well and good to have a good defense, but if you can't score more than 1 goal a game, you're not going to finish in a great position come game week 38.
No, definitely not. And obviously going into this weekend, Everton playing away at Brighton and Leeds at home to Arsenal. So not going to be easy. But people have been saying Leeds are on some good form, so that won't be an easy game for Arsenal.
No, not at all. Like we've discussed at the start of this episode, mate. There's no such thing as an easy game in the Premier League. There's not. And Leeds, I know you're telling me United aren't a big club. That's your opinion. I disagree. Leeds are another one that I'll say it doesn't matter if Leeds are playing in League One, mate. They are a huge club, and their fan base and their players know what kind of club they are, and they get up for big fixtures, right? So this one, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think this will be a walk in the park for Arsenal. I really don't. I think this is going to be a very tough game for them. A club like Leeds will really, really show up for this fixture, and yeah, I think it'll actually be a surprisingly close game.
It will. All right, let's talk about the big one, the biggest game of the weekend. Keeper, I'll let you take this one away. We watched this very early in the morning.
I tried to. I fell asleep.
I know. I was talking to him for about 20 minutes and there was no reply. You've obviously probably watched the highlights. You've probably watched some of the end of it. But yeah, I'll let you ask the questions to me on this one.
Yeah, look, I said before the game started that United were going to play a particular way. I'm actually surprised looking at stats right now to see how much possession they had. But I said they were going to play the same way they did against City. It was going to be to let you have the ball as much as you wanted to have the ball and hit you on the counter. And let's be honest, in that first half, like you guys had some corners and stuff like that early, in that first half there. But honestly, United looked dangerous. They did, and that's because of the way they were playing. This is where one of those teams I'm saying Burnley don't have the caliber of talent to play this way, but United do. United sat behind the ball. They defended well. They kept their shape. They never overpressed and allowed you guys to be able to create space. And then when you guys turned the ball over in silly spots and made mistakes, they absolutely went at you. And it's the same way they played against City to get the win in the Manchester Derby. And it just worked against you guys. Like, full credit to them. I don't know if they're just, ramping up because they've got, a club legend as their manager right now. I don't know what it is. All right. But you've got to know how to play against your opposition. And being fully aware that Arsenal is a better team than you, being fully aware that Manchester City is a better team than you, and shutting up shop knowing that you've got a caliber of defense that could pull it off and smacking on a counter to get 2 massive wins in a row, that is full credit to them. That takes discipline to be able to do that for 90 minutes against the caliber of Arsenal or Manchester City, to do it to both of them in the space of a week. Like, that's just that's brilliant management, and it's really good discipline from that. And that's why I think Harry Maguire started. I think he's an absolute muppet and not that good of a player, but he started that game because of his experience. 100% he started that game because of his experience and his discipline. He does some silly things, he does get cards, but the one thing he isn't going to do is leave that defense stranded.
No, I agree. Okay, I agree.
I'm not going to crucify you guys. I don't think you guys played badly. I just think
I think
they gambled and they executed it.
I think we played shit, personally. I'll give you my take on it. I don't think Man United played well, personally. I think we gave them the goals. And I think in this level of football, you look at the last 2 games that we've played, we should have been 9 points clear, really. We should have beaten Forest. We should have beaten Liverpool with obviously the lineup you had. This is obviously shoulds and ifs and buts and stuff, but we should be 9 points clear going into obviously the next game. I believe obviously that the first goal, the first 20 minutes was all Arsenal. Man United just were keeping the ball. They didn't know what to do with it because Arsenal were just pressing and attacking and pressing. We went 1-0 up. Then I think the nerves got to us. I think we got a little bit nervous. Oh, 1-0. Oh, but we didn't capitalize on that. And that's what frustrated me. The mistakes that we made. I thought Gabriel was quite sluggish. I thought Saliba was quite sluggish. We're talking about, they have been said that they're the 2 best defenders in the world at the moment, partnership-wise, the best in the Premier League. Gabriel gave Mbemo with the mistakes that we made. You don't see those mistakes. When have you seen Saliba 10 yards off a defender? He's always tight. Gabriel has always got his body in there. It was just, and then the mistake from Zubimendi. No one was coming to the ball. Odegaard didn't come to the ball. There was no pressing. There was no communication, and there was a big fuck up. 1-1. Brought Man United back into the game, and I told you that. I said, we've brought them into the game, and we didn't need to. We were in control for 20 minutes, right?
I get that.
Going into the halftime 1-1. We didn't come out exactly the same team. I've seen Arsenal come out in the second half, a completely different team, and run rings around the team. And you look at Inter Milan. Inter Milan are the best team in Serie A. And we walked it. 3-1. Piece of piss. At home. At home as well to Inter. Yes, Champions League, Premier League, two different things. They then get the second goal. Absolute phenomenal goal. Cannot underrate that. That Dogu, he's been on great form. No problem. We put it back. Scrappy goal. Still an opportunity, right? 20 minutes. Play for the draw. Play for the point. Game management. Play for the ball. Play. And some of the players should have gone off a lot earlier. And then you give Cunha too much time and space in the box. He is the most prolific player to score outside the box. And you open it up and go, there you go. Just, I don't know. I listened to Patrick Vieira when he was talking about it, and he said Arsenal didn't play very well. And I agreed with it. And I think you get to these games and you know, even though the team you're thinking is shit, they're on shit form, they turn up. These derbies, these big games, they turn up. These games aren't like back in the day, though. The Roy Keanes, the Vieiras, the Henrys, the Andy Coles, the Beckhams, they're not those games anymore. The Premier League has completely changed. But I think we just let United in, and in the end, we were chasing the game. And when they went 2-1 up, that was it. We were chasing, and we chased again, and we pulled it back. Scrappy goal, and then 3-2. And then we tried to fight it again. And Matchweek had so many chances, and he dribbles the ball off the fucking off the pitch. It's just, it's frustrating.
Look, it is frustrating, but
so that's where it went wrong.
Yeah, I agree, but I think United forced you into those mistakes, and not through pressing you or building pressure, but just frustrating you. Like, yes, you had a lot of opportunities in the first 20 minutes. I don't disagree with that, but the way they played frustrated the shit out of you, because not many teams can play that and pull it off. And they made you slow the game down. You guys don't like to play that. So look at the players you've got, right? You got your Saka, your Eze, you like to run at defenses. The way they played, they didn't allow you to be able to do it. All right, there was times there where you were able to do it in periods, all right, but you weren't able to do it for long enough, consistently enough, because of what they did. That frustrated your players. It caused you to slow your game down, and your players become complacent. They've made silly mistakes they wouldn't make because they're not playing at the tempo they wanted to play at. Yes, I admit you made mistakes. You just didn't play great in periods, right? But I think it's more that United forced you into them through the way they played.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Obviously, they've got two very, very quick wingers. The defence was pretty good. Don't get me wrong with United. Obviously, penalty shout maybe. Harry Maguire does handball it. Another day may get given. But we've obviously had other opportunities that obviously have not gone our way with other teams with penalties. So that could have changed the game. The two goals are fantastic from Man United. Ours are very, very scrappy. And I just think some players just didn't turn up. Again, that's why he made the 4 subs. But I don't know. It frustrates me because it's like I wouldn't have played Trossard in a game like that. Martinelli is a runner. He runs at players. That is a game that you play him in. You don't play Trossard in a game like that. And Odegaard, again, is the captain. And that's been the biggest talking point, apart from the loss, taking your captain off in 57 minutes. Odegaard has not performed in numerous amount of games. And Declan Rice, wasn't allowed to play as freely as he was. And he's the only one that seems to grab the ball and go. No one else just seemed to grab it, And Roy Keane said, you're top of the league, go at United. Go at them. But we didn't. And unfortunately, they won the game. And now, as per usual, we've put ourselves into a fucking situation. We're under pressure again. And this is why it frustrates me. Huh?
I know you're frustrated right now, and I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I did tell you all through the first half of the season, wait until after January, because Arsenal just have this habit of whenever they're having a good season, they slip after Christmas.
I agree, but then when you look at something, look at the Champions League. They're the best team in the world.
Yeah, but it happens, mate.
Yeah.
It happens. How many times do you actually like? There's numerous times you see teams winning Champions League that don't win their league that season.
Mm.
It happens. It
Well,
happens.
I just hope it doesn't go backwards. I hope we then don't go down in the dumps, go against Leeds, struggle, go away with a draw. Man City then win, Villa will lose, and then we're down to 1 point. And then we're like, oh, here we go again. You know,
This is about your players' mentality though. They need to be mentally strong. Like it's trust me, as a Liverpool fan that's seen many leagues be in our grasp and slip away, your players need to be mentally strong.
And some of the stats are scary as well of some of the Arsenal players. Saka hasn't scored a goal in 13 games.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, you've got some really good talent there.
But they're not performing.
You've got some experience. But let's be honest. Like that City team isn't playing great right now. But I reckon. Oh, actually, no. They've probably got a lot of young blokes on there too at the moment. Like, I think both teams for the position they're in the league don't have hugely strong experienced players. Like, both teams are quite young.
Can you see? This is a question before we go over to the next few things with the predictions and wrapping it up. Can you see? Do you think that that's enough at the moment for Arsenal? Can you see Arsenal slipping up again? Can you see City slipping up again?
Look, I said it last week, or I've said it for a couple of weeks now. Anyway, the only team, and I still, in the current situation of how City's squad is, and how demoralised their defence is right now with injuries and all that, the only team that can lose Arsenal this league right now is Arsenal. You were 7 points or 8 points, or however many points clear you were. You're the most informed team. You've got the best talent. You've got the least amount of injuries compared to the teams around you. All right. Teams can only catch you if you drop points and give them the opportunity to. But now it becomes less about that now, and it becomes more about your players' mentality, because you have now dropped enough points to close this gap to 4 points, where your players will not feel comfortable now. So now this is the test of their mentality. Yeah, they need.
What would you do as a manager? Would you show them the table? Would you show them where you're at, or would you just say, "Look, let's put that behind us. We're going away to Leeds. Let's concentrate."
No, you just honestly, you need to remind the players of what they've done in the first half of the season. Remind them of what their standards are, and don't let those standards slip. Right? Like, you look at the year that Liverpool finally won the league. We probably had our captain and our vice captain were probably two of the hardest mentality warriors in the league. Like, Henderson and Milner, you watch them. We could be up 3-0 in a game, and a player would make a mistake, and they would freaking remind them that wasn't good enough. Like, you need that on your field. You need that leadership that drives the standard to be at the highest level every minute of every game, regardless of your opponent. Because that's how you win the league. That's how you don't let your standards drop. You need to have the leadership out there that is reminding the young blokes, or even some of the experienced blokes that maybe lack confidence at times, that we have a standard, we don't drop below it. You need to drive that standard.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, there's your answer. Culprit Racing. All right. Let's move on. We'll go to predictions, and we'll get Keeper's predictions in. But first of all, let's go over the results, Keeper, for predictions, because this is getting quite interesting. 23, week 23, 5 for myself, 4 for Nishka, 3 for Keeper, 6 for Kaus, even though we've not heard from him for a while. Anthony 3, Hoosie 5, Connor joining off the post as well. Welcome. 6, Suts 2. I'm leading at the moment with 111. Nishka with 102. Keeper with 99. Kaus with 71. Anthony 61. Shaz 42. Suts 25. RJ 24. Connor 6. And Husey 38. Going into this week, Keeper week number 24. Let's do our predictions. Let's go through it. All right. So, Leeds and Arsenal, Keeper.
Oh, put me on the spot here. I think 0-2. Arsenal win 2-0.
Got the same. I'm going to go Wolves Bournemouth. I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go 1-3. Wolves and Bournemouth.
Bournemouth win 2-1.
Everton and Brighton.
1-1 draw.
I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton. Chelsea and West Ham. I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
Same.
Liverpool and Newcastle.
I don't know.
I'm going to go.
We've got
2-2.
we've got Salah back. But we've got no
Okay, 2-2.
XTK. Pretty sure he's still out injured. I think. Oh no, maybe he's not.
No, who goes back?
He goes back. Okay. 2-1 Liverpool. Only because I think Newcastle are going to have to rest players in between that fixture.
Okay.
Those two fixtures.
Villa and Brentford.
3-1 Villa.
Ooh. I'm going to go 2-2. I'm going to go 2-2 on the bounce. Man U and Fulham. I think Man United will win that. I think I'm in good form. I'm going to go 2-1. Man U and Fulham.
Historically, these are low-scoring games. Really low-scoring games with these two. I'm going to go 1-0 United because it's their home game.
1-0. I'm going to go. What about Forest and Palace?
Ooh, this has got big ramifications, this one. This has got big ramifications. Ooh. I'm going to go 1-0 Forest.
Okay, I'm going to go 2-0 Palace. I think that'll be too strong for them. Tottenham and Man City. I did say this. No, I shouldn't say it. I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs.
I know Spurs have a really good track record against City, but City need to bounce back. I think 2-1 to City.
Okay. And Sunderland and Burnley.
Ooh, this will be an interesting one. Sunderland's home game, though. I think, Sunderland will be too strong at home. I think 2-0 Sunderland.
Yep, I've gone for the same as well. Okay, awesome. All right, let's touch base on the last few things before we wrap it up. Transfer market is coming to a close. Biggest rumours are here. We've got a few. I've got one that come up here. This one. This is the first one. What's your boys think of Palmer to United? It has come out that Cole Palmer would go to Man United. Will it happen now or will it happen later on?
Later on, I don't see a world when this is hard. This is hard. All right, Sporting Sense says Chelsea don't sell Palmer to United when they are fighting for that last top 4 spot against each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Sporting side of things says. But we've been saying lately, and I agree with it, that Chelsea aren't playing football for results or accolades anymore. They're running a business. Mm-hmm. So if the offer's good enough, he goes.
Okay. All right. There we go. What's your thoughts to Warburton? Rumoured to go to Liverpool.
Adam Wharton. Look, I think it'd be a great signing for us in terms of he's young, he's talented, he's got a great future, and I hate saying this because I hate it when other clubs do it, but if we can get him at stop another club in the league, another top club in the league getting him, that's great. But I'm on the same boat as I was with Isaac at the start of the year. We need a bloody defender.
But do you think that happens now or later?
I just don't. Mark Gay is the only one that I thought we would have gone for, and City pounced on him and got him. So, yeah, look, if we're looking at strengthening the squad for the rest of the season, and I don't see a viable centre-back option available to us right now, look, I'd get the deal done. Get him over, get him in there, allow us a bit of rotation, especially if we're staying in the Champions League. The rotation will be very important for the second half of the season.
So
Like, obviously,
now,
yeah.
you're saying you think Liverpool should sign him now, but do you think it will happen now?
Well, all rumours are that he has told Liverpool he wants a 5-year contract and that it could happen before the transfer window closes. So that is possible.
I can't see that. I can't see that happening. I can't see Palace allowing him to go. It's a lot of money.
That being said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
True.
Have they made contact with Alonso?
True.
Is there a negotiation in place for him to replace Slot straight away, or is that going to be at the end of the season? Does Alonso have any interest in Wharton, or is that Slot that wants him? There's so many questions there.
Back to Liverpool again. Andy Robertson
to Spurs.
Is it happening?
I think so. And Kostas Tsimikas is coming back from Roma.
I wouldn't let him go. I really wouldn't. I think he's got experience. I think he's better than Kirkes. I think Kirkes has got a lot to learn, and I think he'll adapt. But I wouldn't let Robertson go. Just the link-up play.
I don't want to let him go, but Tsimikas has shown, especially with how aging that Robbo is now, and he's not the same player that he was. I'm fully confident that as long as we get Tsimikas back from Roma before the window closes, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Back to Palace. This could be a done deal. Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace will want a replacement, but Mateta to Forest, 35 million.
Interesting one.
They want Larson from Wolves.
Look, you'd have to have your ducks in a line. You'd have to make sure you're not going to miss out on your guy. Because if you sell your number one striker to a team that is fighting with you around that relegation zone and you don't land the bloke that you want, you're in strife. You're in big strife. So they would want to make sure that Larson is a done deal before they let Mateta go.
Okay. And we'll go with the last one. Alvarez to Arsenal from Atletico Madrid.
Good pickup. I rated him. I actually think that he was very unfortunate that he was just playing in the same City team as Haaland, or he would have got a lot more game time. I like that.
Can you see it happening though? It's a lot of money. A lot of money.
Yeah, look, it's a lot of money, but if Arsenal aren't happy with what they've got going on up there, or not happy with the consistency, or they're concerned about the workload because of the heavy fixtures, then I don't think it can be a bad deal for you. Put it that way.
I personally think they need to buy a midfielder to help out Rice and Zubimendi, personally. And if I was looking at someone, I'd bring in Ruben Neves.
So you want a defensive midfielder?
Yeah, that's who I'd be bringing in from Al Hilal to the end of the season. Why not? Because Nordegaard isn't getting in the team, and it helps with Rice and Zubimendi. And I think Ruben Neves got Premier League experience. Good player, very good player.
Is Havertz back yet? How long's he out for?
We don't know. It's touch and go because his knees flared up, so could be the end of the season.
I would love to see you guys actually use him where he used to play for Leverkusen. In the freaking midfield, not up front. I would love to see you use him there.
That's number 10 though, isn't it? And I can't see that. You know, he played CAM for Chelsea, and we don't need that. We need Rice to travel with the ball, but I think we need someone to help Zubimendi. You know, Thomas Partey was obviously our defensive midfielder. We brought Zubimendi in, but I think we need someone else. I think Rice and Zubimendi, they're playing a lot of games, keeper.
Yeah,
You
100%
know,
they are.
and we need, and if one of those gets injured, we that could be catastrophic because
Yeah.
who do you replace them with? We've got no one else in that caliber. So for
Yeah.
me, I would look at I'd even look at Wharton, but I don't think they'll spend 120 million on Wharton. So I'd be looking at someone the likes of Ruben Neves.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. That's fair.
all good. All right. Well, on that note, transfer market is over in literally finishes on first day before we get back to the Premier League, which will be the end of January, which is Friday, Saturday. So that's when it will shut. But talking on that, let's go through the table and go through some stats before we wrap it up. As we see Arsenal dropping big points against Man United, getting the L there. Only second game loss of the season, so still pretty good at home. They're leading the Premier League at the moment, 50 points. They're dropping from 7 points down to 4 points of Man City in P2 with 46, joint with Villa on 46. The only difference is with goal difference. Man United overtaking Chelsea, going up to 4th on 38 points. Still a long way away from Villa, City and Arsenal for the time being, but great form for United. Chelsea on 37 points in 5th. Liverpool dropping down into 6th on 36 points. Then Fulham on 34 with Brentford behind, 1 point behind them on 33 and 8th. Newcastle, Everton, Sunderland all on 33. The difference is goal difference between all 3 or 4 of those teams. A little further down, we've got Brighton 3 points behind Sunderland in 12th. Then on the same amount of points as Bournemouth. The difference is goal difference between Brighton and Bournemouth. Then we've got Spurs down there in 14th with 28 points, the same amount of points with Crystal Palace. But the deficit is goal difference yet again. Then Leeds United up to 16th with that draw against Everton, 26, 1 point in front of Forest with a very good result against Brentford. Pushes them out of the relegation zone, 5 points adrift of West Ham in 17th. West Ham in the relegation zone on 20 with Burnley on 15, 5 points behind them. It looks like it's not going to be enough. So Burnley will need that win next week. Otherwise, they are going to be 8 points behind West Ham, which will be a tough ask. Then you've got Wolves down there, have won a game this season, but with 8 points. Then we go over to stats this season. Erling Haaland with 20 goals. Igor Thiago is 16. Then we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin on 9. Bruno Guimaraes, Brian Mbeumo, Danny Welbeck, Harry Wilson, Hugo Nketiah on 8, Mateta on 8, Pedro on 8, and Ollie Watkins. Assists, Bruno Fernandes leading it by 7, 8, 9, 10. 3 more goals than Ryan Cherki with 10. Ryan Cherki was 7. Jack Grealish was 6, but he is out for a lengthy injury. Granit Xhaka on 5, Mohamed Kudus on 5, and Morgan Rogers on 5 as well. Big games coming up this weekend. Obviously, Leeds going to Arsenal, Wolves going to Bournemouth, Brighton and Everton, Chelsea and West Ham, another London derby, Liverpool and Newcastle, that is a big game for both sides, Aston Villa and Brentford, Man United and Fulham, Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace, but the biggest probably one of all is Tottenham and Man City, which is going to be a big one for them. And then finishing off with Sunderland and Burnley. Keeper, anything from you before we go?
I don't think so, mate. Just look forward to another good weekend of football coming up, and hopefully we can get some more interesting results and see what happens.
Definitely. Hopefully we'll be on for a watch along. I've got no idea where or when that will be because the games are on at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 3 a.m., 9 a.m. That's not going to work because Liverpool and Newcastle is on. That's 7 a.m. Sunday. That's going into work. Don't think it'll work, will it?
Which games are we looking at?
Liverpool and Newcastle.
Liverpool and Newcastle, 7 a.m. Sunday for me. I'll let you know closer to the time.
Could be Leeds and Arsenal.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know
No,
close to the
that'll be
time.
2 a.m. That might be.
Yeah.
I can't do another 5:30 one. That nearly killed me.
Yeah, that nearly killed me too.
We're too old for that.
Yeah.
We try to do it, but we just our bodies just can't. We're not 18 anymore.
That's it.
Well, I can't honestly.
No, I'm right. I'm the
That's
same
nearly
as
killed
you.
me in 2 days. I can't stop sleeping. Awesome. Thank you very much, Keeper, as always. And a little shout out to Anthony as well. Please get that connection issue sorted. I hope that doesn't happen in the racing. Jesus, otherwise you're asking for trouble. Thank you very much to the comments as well. Thank you very much to Carpet Racing for putting the comments in. Until next time, thank you to everyone that tuned in as well. And we'll be back very soon with more of The Post. Good night.